Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dockery Docket podcast, the podcast where once again leftist words have caused violence, which shouldn't be shocking to you by now. Well, it was bound to happen. I didn't want it to happen, and I know that a lot of people didn't want it to happen, especially over the Thanksgiving holiday. But we had a situation happen. Because we all knew that one day the leftist love and tolerance of other people was going to get someone killed. Over the holiday, 2 National Guard members were shot. One of them was tragically killed, and another one is still in the hospital trying to fight for his life. It is an absolute tragedy and also terrible when anyone dies for any circumstance, but with this situation, seeing people on X mourn these different people, it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Because before all of this happened, a lot of people on X were claiming that the National Guard was Trump's Gestapo. They were Nazis, they were fascists, they were terrible people, and even different representatives like Jasmine Crockett said that they were technically slave patrollers trying to round up black and brown people. These people, these National Guard soldiers, were seen as masked thugs who were just breaking into people's houses and sending people off into random third world countries. They say all of these demeaning things about our National Guard troops, but then get offended because Donald Trump said that Tim Walz is retarded, which is true. Trump's words or even his re-truths have absolutely nothing on the left's rhetoric right now. Because like I said in the past, what happens when you call someone or something a evil, terrible fascist? Well, we don't like fascists, so we're going to attack them, and that's exactly what happened in this situation. People go on and attack these National Guard troops because they think that there's some sort of the resistance. This rhetoric has led to the deaths of Charlie Kirk and also these National Guard troops to get shot and one killed. And the question is, who else is going to get affected by the left's new rhetoric? It also doesn't help when people are blaming Donald Trump and also the National Guard troops for getting shot and also dying. As John Pavlovsky wrote on X, Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth are culpable for endangering the National Guard by putting them in harm's way. Well, you know, if that girl wasn't in the alley, then maybe she wouldn't have been raped. Well, maybe if that girl in the alley wasn't wearing a short skirt, then maybe she wouldn't have been raped. That is exactly what this guy is saying, and it is typical victim blaming. The National Guard was there to stop crime in Washington, D.C. They were trying to make D.C. a safer place for everyone. They didn't deserve this at all. Then we got a post from Brian Krasenstein that says, it's honestly sickening. These National Guard troops were only in Washington, D.C. because Trump fabricated a need for them. And now he'll twist this tragedy into another excuse to flood American cities with even more military presence. This never should have happened. These troops were scattered across D.C. doing nothing but standing around and picking up trash, all on the taxpayers' dime. Because Trump wanted a political photo op. Now, if this were true and the National Guard troops were just standing around, picking up trash, not doing anything, then why were these people shot? Like, if they were just standing there minding their own business, picking up trash, then there wouldn't be a need for someone to come up and shoot them. But when the left continues their narrative and calls people racist or calls people Nazis or the modern day Gestapo, people decide to put their own ideas into their own hands and they start to get violent. Just like this scumbag did. And speaking of this scumbag, his story is also very sad as well. And this isn't going to be a whole, well, woe is him, he should be forgiven, blah, blah, blah. It's just, you'll find out why it's a sad story. Because he was an Afghan national that worked with our troops in Afghanistan fighting the Taliban. As he was a member of a group called the Zero Unit, which is an Afghan intelligence and paramilitary force that worked with the CIA. And the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, also confirmed that this guy was a part of the CIA, a part of this agency. Now, this man was able to come to the United States after the botched withdrawal in Afghanistan along with multiple other people. And back in the day, Jen Psaki said that every single person that was coming over from Afghanistan were vetted and were deemed very good people. Now, it's hard to say if this vetting process actually worked, and if we would have vetted him better, that this guy would have not done what he did. But it doesn't seem like he would do something like this, because the guy seemed to have a great record. He worked with us and helped us defeat the Taliban in Afghanistan, so you would think that he would come to America and be happy and be lucky and be like, wow, this is an incredible opportunity for me. It honestly didn't seem like this man hated America or wanted to hurt anyone, but something just snapped. And this is where it honestly gets truly sad, because we, the United States, gave him everything. We gave him an escape from a war-torn country that if he would have been captured, more than likely he would have been killed. We gave him a social worker that helped him and other Afghani citizens who were struggling to adapt to the American culture. We would expect him to become a model American citizen of this country, but instead he threw it all away for what? Just because he wanted to? Or was he manipulated by these leftist talking points? Or was he just depressed and had mental issues? It is just honestly so sad to think that someone who was fighting for us, who was on our side the whole time, decided to shoot and kill one of our National Guard troops, who are just trying to make the cities a safer place. No one deserves to get shot because of their job title, and we need to do better at either vetting or making sure that people that are coming over to this country are capable of being an American, meaning that they don't have any mental illness or things that can cause them to break and then lead to them being violent. And maybe Brian Krasenstein is right. Maybe we do need to send in more National Guard to different cities. Guess what? The cities are full of violent crime, and I know you're shocked by that, but things are getting really bad, and we need change badly. Now, what seems to happen in these different cities is a criminal will do a criminal act like criminals do, and then they will go in front of a judge, and the judge will give them a second chance. Maybe they'll give them a light sentence, a slap on the wrist, or just a fine, and soon enough, they're right back on the street. This happened recently in Chicago as a man poured liquid on a random woman on a blue line train and lit her on fire. The train stopped, the man fled, and the woman who was still on fire exited the train, falling on the ground where people helped to get her extinguished. Firefighters took this woman who had severe burns to the nearest hospital. As of right now, I'm not sure if that woman is okay, but I'm hoping that she is, and she was probably in really bad shape and will probably be scarred for life. The criminal was later arrested, and we started to find out what this guy's rap sheet actually was and realized that all of this could have been prevented, as this man was arrested 72 times. 72 times. And these weren't little infractions either, like jaywalking or throwing a piece of trash on the side of the road. These were felonies. These were bad things. These were things that people usually get locked up for a long time. Instead, we have liberal judges who feel bad for the criminals and just let them go. Or these judges believe that because jails have more of one race, then they don't want to add more to the racial population of the jail. Listen, I'm 100% in favor of police reform. I would love to have less people in the jail system, less criminals, and more people who are rehabilitated in jail and then let out onto the street where they can be good model citizens. I also believe in second chances, and I believe that people should be given a second chance if they maybe have done something minor or maybe something that's not that bad, maybe give them a fine. But this is absolutely ridiculous. 72 times is ridiculous. There should at least be a 3-strike policy to make sure that we stop people who are constantly doing violent crimes from going back out into the streets and doing more violent crime. With a 3-strike system, you give people a second chance to get it right. And if they get caught again, then maybe their penalties should be a little bit harsher so then they can stop doing this over and over again. But multiple offenders and people that are harming other people don't deserve 72 chances to finally get it right. This isn't the first time that this happened, as recently there was a Ukraine refugee who was on a subway train and a guy just randomly came up and stabbed her and ran away, killing the woman. The criminal that did this was arrested a grand total of 14 times before he even did this attack. Why can't we tell that these people are not meant to live in a society when they keep on doing violent crime like this? And why can't we tell if they're going to do that again by the first or second time? Why do we keep on letting these terrible people out of our jail system? Because apparently arresting more people who are doing more violent crime is apparently racist. Take a look at this.
We cannot incarcerate our way out of violence. We've already tried that, and we've ended up with the largest prison population in the world without solving the problems of crime and violence. The addiction on jails and incarceration in this country, we have moved past that. It is racist, it is immoral, it is unholy, and it is not the way to drive violence down.
Imagine saying that to a person that is disfigured for the rest of their life. Imagine saying that to a victim that was stabbed, or the victim's family who had the person that was either burned or stabbed. Imagine saying that to a person whose business was destroyed by people who are just being violent and then the next day were let go and back on the streets. Calling it racist to arrest people that are doing violent crime is also really stupid because guess what? Other races do different crimes as well. I know, you're shocked by that. White people do crime, black people do crime, Asian people do crime. Everyone does crime, and if someone who was white, black, green, red, brown, I don't care, was arrested 72 times and then killed a National Guard troop, or decided to stab someone, then I believe that they should have been in jail a long time ago. Race doesn't matter. Because I believe that most Americans believe that a person that has been arrested 72 times and lit an innocent woman on fire should be in jail no matter who the heck they are or what they look like. People that do violence, who do terrible things, deserve to be thrown in jail for a long time, especially if they've done it multiple times. It's not about race, it's about keeping cities safe. And that's why I think that more National Guards will be going into different cities, and hopefully we won't see more escalations of violence. And with that, I just want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Dockery Docket. And until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.